folks. I'm sorry, I was juggling a whole bunch of stuff this morning. Hey, what's up, folks on YouTube? My apologies. I had my streaming software going, but my click on the send the YouTube stream live missed. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I had no idea. Excuse me. So I'm not going to go back and recap all this stuff with SPY and ES again. My profuse apologies on neglecting to hit that go live on the YouTube side of things. I was having a weird mic issue and I was a little bit all over the place within the last minute before the live stream started. So again, my apologies. We are live on YouTube now. And just going back real quick to talking about this AMD trade play. We talked about S&P futures and SPY a little bit briefly. Ultimately, to make a long story short, looking for kind of consolidation and chop, things to move in maybe a broader range up until we get through the election next Tuesday. But we are seeing some signs of a breakdown and potentially looking for SPY to finish filling this gap down to 577.95, call it 578, before we bounce and push higher. So again, my apologies to the folks on YouTube for starting the stream late there. I had everything up and running. I was just one click shy of perfection, so my apologies there. But thanks for joining and sticking around and understanding that I would eventually figure that out, or somebody would, like Chris, point that out for me. So thank you guys so much. If you're here on YouTube, again, my apologies for fumbling the ball there. The video is not you guys can see the screen sharing on Discord, right? I just want to make sure. Well, thank you, Deepak, for letting me know. It looks like it's running. Can somebody in the Discord side confirm you can see my screen? Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. We do these things live, and sometimes, okay, yeah, it's Deepak. It sounds like things are good to go on Discord, but hopefully, if you can see and hear everything over here on the YouTube side of things, we're good to go. So, getting back to this AMD trade plan, course correcting again. Apologies for that little brain fart. I guess I would call it a technical difficulty. That was just JTW, one click short of perfection again. AMD, again, we saw the break above, nice bounce and hold off of this 15-minute key buying pressure there on Neptune, broke above, gave us the back test of the call entry there at 158.35. We are now testing PT1 for calls. Make sure that you're scaling some of these out at open, even if this continues to pull back a little bit as we get toward the open. Because again, we've hit PT1, we could see this continue to pull back from here. I'm not necessarily expecting that, but targets are being hit, so make sure that you are scaling out some contracts for profit and moving your stops up. So now I would have my stop moved up to 158.35 from that 155.97 level that we're using on the initial entry. Microsoft has been pretty much in a consolidation pattern for the most part. Since opening well above our call entry yesterday. Did come down, have a nice little back test, came up and rejected this prior all-time high there at 430.81 and has pushed down lower, is now testing the put entry level as key support here, trying to hold. Things looking a little bit bearish on Microsoft right now. I especially like it for potential rejection off 427.10 that could lead things lower. Trade plan has PT1 down there at 422.96 on a confirmed break below 425.42. So keep your eyes on this Microsoft trade plan. We could see it continue to play out to the downside as we head into the end of the week this week. Last but not least, from our member selected trade plans was End Phase Energy. This one gave us a nice little breakout, back test, pushed up. Seems to be struggling a little bit, but overall looks healthy. Still over the 333 SMA that it just cleared above. 200s bouncing and curling to the upside. Neptune still bullish here on the 15-minute. Let's take a quick look at this on the hourly as well. Just want to see where that sets up. Well, that's our key struggle right now. We're hitting that key selling pressure there on Neptune on the hourly chart at 85.83. So keep that in mind. Yeah, sure, we could try and take a look at TLT for sure. And don't forget, folks, and again, my apologies for kind of being not having my act together this morning on getting all these streams started correctly. If you guys have new trade plan requests, go ahead and drop those in the chat, either in YouTube or in Discord. Discord. I will try to get to those as quickly as I possibly can. We do have a lot of trade plans to cover this morning, but I'm going to go through them as quickly and talk as quickly as possible. All right. So end phase again, this one's still looking pretty good, holding the bullish ribbon, but hitting that key selling pressure on Neptune, finding a little bit of a struggle there. No surprises. 15 minutes still looks good though. I think if we can break that high of the day yesterday, we should certainly see continuation in the rest of the move up to 90.85, which is our first price target now that we have broken above and seen a nice back test of support off of 84.94. Dexcom, this was an interesting request, one that I've never really looked at, from our friend Unknown Reviews, who is always here on the regular looking for those ER catalyst plays. This one's clearly been all over the place, and again, these trade plans can be a little less effective when we're putting them in right before an earnings report drops. Clearly there was some indecision about this earnings report based on this one candle alone. Ultimately, it's been high volatility. It's created a larger range, but seems to be favoring the upside. We did see a breakout above, and now it's holding the stop loss average down as we head into the trading day today. So keep this one on watch. This could actually become a pretty decent trade plan to monitor now that the earnings report is in the rear view, and still looking for that break back over 74.02 to potentially hit up to 77.50. And then on up to 79.83 and 83.03. If you want to see me recap this trade plan, you can go back and watch the recording from last Thursday's live stream. Unity Software, this one was from Chris G. Thank you, Chris, as always, my friend. This one, Friday, did give us signs of a breakdown, was heading toward PT1. It has bounced along with the markets pushing up, but right back into that key selling pressure here on Neptune, kind of a similar look to what we just saw on Dexcom a moment ago, hitting that key selling pressure and just below the stop loss average down. So this is, for me, within a range if I'm using, or if you're somebody that uses Neptune, where I would certainly look to go ahead and sort of preemptively add to my position, go ahead and take my stop loss average down, and then, you know, maintain my focus on 2077 as a break above starts to invalidate this downside trade plan. Is giving slight, I was gonna say it's giving slight maybe bullish flag, bullish pennant vibes. I don't know, it's a little messy. I don't want to force a chart pattern onto a chart that isn't clearly showing it, so I'm gonna actually keep that one in my back pocket and say that it could be a little bit of a bull flag, but I'm not totally convinced. Yeah, Unity Software, again, hitting a little bit of struggle here, but overall still favoring downside in my opinion. Lunar, this one, Chris and I have been trading the heck out of it as of late. We did this trade plan, this is last Thursday's. Never broke to the downside, has continued to grind to the upside, giving us some breaks up. Hasn't retested that stop loss average down yet. Also hitting again, here we see on the hourly, that key selling pressure on Neptune, really struggling across the board with a lot of tickers that we've looked at this morning. This hourly bearish flag where we've got selling pressure on it at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on this as it continues to try to break through this and get back up toward 876, which was our first price target. Clean hit. In fact, that was what? Yeah, that was high to the penny so far of the last week. We called there at 876 with our PT1. So, you know, good levels, charts playing out. Sometimes you got to give these things time. Lunar is definitely one that looks like it needs some time, but it's an inexpensive stock, so certainly one that you can play shares or go with some longer term options contracts. You know, I would say 6 months plus, essentially. So last but not least, or actually, I'm sorry, we did Boeing, and then I wanted to take a quick look at NEO here just real quick, because this one's just played out so nicely, and I wanted to talk about it one last time before we move on, and we'll get to some of these new trade plan requests. Again, thanks for bearing with me, folks, while I kind of get back up to speed and talk as fast as I can. I feel like the guy that used to do the Micro Machines commercials, if anybody's old enough to remember that. Boeing, this one, you know, again, this has been favoring the downside for quite a while now. That's continuing to play out. Rejected our call entry pretty significantly, broke down, started backtesting and rejecting this confluence of the 200 and the 333 SMA with that 153.92 stop loss average down level. So a key level, both SMAs, Neptune bearish ribbon, everything in the world yesterday should have been telling you to take puts off of that 153.92 resistance. If you did, we've gotten down to test PT1 here pre-market. We did bounce pretty significantly off PT1. Again, that can happen, and that is part of the risk of swinging options contracts, is that you can hit your price targets and that can cause a reversal before you can do anything to close your trades. So always keep that in mind. And one thing that kind of helps offset that is make sure that you're buying plenty of time on your trades and on your contracts. But BA breaking down, bouncing, trying to bounce off of PT1, but could see a good backtest entry off of 150.08 to get into this position if you missed, I think, this initial breakdown and backtest entry, which again, if you aren't using these moving averages and indicators, you wouldn't have known to take. So understandable if you didn't kind of see that, or you could have just, if you're sort of a person who likes to re-engineer the trade plan, the key levels that I share with you all, certainly you might have been looking to play off that back test just based off it being a key level from the plan and showing all that resistance. And again, you don't need Neptune to have the 200 and the 333 SMA, which would have been the additional confirmation or confluence for this to hold as resistance and reject to the downside the way it did. So keep that in mind. Keep those SMAs on your charts. Make sure that you are using some indicators as that kind of two-factor authentication with these trade plan levels. It will greatly increase your how you visualize the charts, how you execute the plans, and your overall chances of success, in my opinion. And then last but not least, NEO. This one we talked about last Tuesday, so I know I'm bringing it back a whole week later, but I wanted to talk about this. The one thing that we said is as long as it's holding above 504, buy the dip, right? And even better if we got a test near 504. I actually did start loading shares right around this 504 level. We had a tight stop loss on it there at 488. That was never challenged. From there, we have moved up and just smashed through the call entry all the way up to this 333 test that came back and is back tested PT1 as support. That support held, and now we're testing PT2 here pre-market, so up to 611 from a potential 504 entry. That's about a 20% return on shares in a week, folks. I don't know what else you can ask for as far as something that doesn't have the risks and anxieties of trading options that a lot of people deal with. This is, essentially just buy and hold and let the plan work out, and it is working absolutely beautifully. So, and I forget who it was. I think it was like Ryan Brown, I think comes in and joins our YouTube streams every once in a while, who asked for another one on this. But yeah, we've had 2 for 2 bangers on NEO. What I would say all within the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, right? So again, this one's played out beautifully. I hope you guys have followed this one. And again, that buy the dip plan, absolute beauty, up 20% off that level just on the shares. Again, I personally played it with shares, so not sure what that means for options contracts, but I'm sure you're up probably a few 100% if you bought a decent amount of time and reasonable strikes. So with that, let's get to some new trade plans. Let's get to these requests that I've seen you guys dropping in the chats this morning. We're going to start off with, I think Kumar was in first with PayPal. So let's get to that. And again, thank you all so much for bearing with me with the kind of, again, I'm not going to call it technical difficulty, but snafu, brain fart, whatever, where I forgot to hit that last little button that actually starts the YouTube stream, even though my streaming software was up and pushing it out. It wasn't really going anywhere, which isn't helpful, right? All right, so let's take a look at this. Definitely going to be a little bit of analysis here on PayPal. It has done some very interesting things since they swayed the Chipotle CEO to come over and start working for them. Got a bunch of old drawing stuff here that I just want to clean up real quick. That'll make the rest of this much faster and easier. All right, let's go. Just reported earnings this morning, so that's interesting. can't always rely on TradingView's numbers, but if we are going to use those to give us some sense of how PayPal reported on this earnings report, a little bit mixed. The earnings was obviously a much better beat than the revenue was a miss. That's a pretty small miss there on the revenue side. So not surprised to see this, kind of ultimately flat. I mean, I know it doesn't look flat because, we've got these two big candles that have kind of fought with each other. But, I mean, overall, it sort of looks like a round trip, very close or not too far off from where we closed yesterday. So clearly a theta burn, let's cuck all the options traders by the Wall Street whales, which is, again, one of the reasons why I, highly recommend being very cautious when it comes to trading options for earnings reports, because again, you can be directionally right, or it can ultimately be not much of a move, but your contracts can get very beat up and the value eroded quickly when that IV crush sets in the following morning after an earnings report, or right after the earnings report. I should say it's not always the following morning. Sometimes it's that same trading day if it reports pre-market. But that being said, let's see if we can't get our bearings on PayPal. It's in a range where I have not charted very heavily, because I think the last time I looked at PayPal, it was clearly down here in the 60s. It's been a while since it had been anywhere up near the 80s from the other stream. Okay. Thanks, Chris. Let's see. How about that? Or I wonder if that's, if you're connected to both, I wonder if that's causing it a little bit. If anybody else is hearing an echo, please let me know. I did just turn off the one other mic. It didn't look like it was catching anything, but that's kind of my backup mic in case there's ever any issues with this better, nicer microphone. All right, so looking at PayPal here, let me just get my bearings on this real quick. Yeah, let me know if that helped, Chris. I did turn off that second mic feed, but I don't think it was actually picking anything up, but I don't know. And again, apologies if I sound a little rough. I'm still getting over this cold. I think there's something here. I'm just not totally convinced it's a weekly level. Let's keep this on watch. All right, I'm getting into stuff that's probably not going to matter for our near-term trade plan. Let me take a look at this. What looked like a potential weekly level, see if it's actually more of a daily level somewhere near there. Huh. It's close to that. It's just not quite. I think it might be sitting right here. And then I think this daily level could be, it's either higher or lower. Lower. It might be higher. Yeah. So there could be a second level here. I don't think it's a daily level, but it's probably going to be an interesting one to watch. All right, let's get back over. So how's that setting us up, and where do we want to start looking for an entry is now my question. All right, so I think what we're going to look for, 83.15. So I guess my question now is there an earlier entry? Yeah, there could be actually, right about here. There is that all right, so kind of splitting hairs here, but I think And it could go between either of these two levels. I'm going to give it a little bit more room, wait for that weekly level to be out of the way. Over that, I think we're looking at 89.66. Sorry, just no, I'm not talking through this as much, but this is PayPal's a little bit price action is just a little all over the place, I guess is the right way to say it. Not one that I trade super often. 93.66 next price target. Third target. Yeah, it's sitting right around this level. 99.28. Stop loss average down. This level I think is a little bit lower. All right, I like that upside trade plan. That looks pretty good. Downside. Lots of struggle with this level here at 81.01. This is looking like a really good daily level so far, but let's go back and confirm that a little bit more before we go put any money on it. Yeah, for sure. I think our first target's going to be right here, 76.92. Yeah, I like that as a first target. Second target, I'm going to go with it down here at the 74.43. Third downside target and final target for the downside part of this trade plan. Let's use this weekly level here at 71.09. So this is what? Definitely opens up some bigger legs to the upside. But still two pretty good plans. Oh gosh, before we get too far ahead, I just realized it didn't. Whatever reason. Load my, there we go, indicators. All right, that all looks good. Let me check this hourly, see if anything really changes my mind on this. Interesting breakdown and struggle with this flag here off that earnings report, but we would flip that back to the bullish side if we do break PT1. I'm sorry, the call entry. So I think I'm good with it. Where that is. Check one more thing. Yeah, just across the board, I think that we've got some agreement there on where we should actually be waiting to get into calls, or over which level we should be waiting to break to get into calls. All right, so this is what our PayPal trade plans look like. All right, so what are we looking for here on PayPal? We're looking for a break over 86.51. That should give us targets at 89.66, 93, well, golly, 93.66 and 99.28 with a stop loss average down at 83.89. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 81.01. That should give us targets at 76.92, 74.43, and 71.09 with a shared stop loss average down with the upside trade plan there at 83.89. Those are your PayPal trade plans. Go get them. All right, I think I saw Cal over here in YouTube Next on the list with MicroStrategy, MSTR, crypto miner. They have been making big moves along with crypto. Well below the last time I did a trade plan on it, which I'm not going to go back too far, but did they have a, oh, they did. I was going to say, did they have a split? Well, that's going to make things interesting from a planning standpoint, but that's okay. It really kind of changes all of this. So I'm just going to might want to look at those levels at some point, but we'll have to totally adjust because of the split. Also at all-time highs here. Huge base built and launch off of that weekly bullish flag there on Neptune. Great by the dip opportunities there, especially that one down into the bullish flag, bullish ribbon, April of this year. All right, let's see. Where are, I'm going to just hide my indicators for a moment. Yeah, sure, you got it, Kamara. I was happy to help, buddy. Let's see how that PayPal plan, or those PayPal plans, I should say plural, work out. All right, what are we looking at here on MicroStrategy? So it's going to be an interesting one because of the all-time high. It's been on a strong run. We do have some levels, a nice base building off of here. So now we're business. Let's see where this takes us. Some interesting, I think that's close enough. Up here in this range, we're going to have minimal data to work with, which is fine. Not our first rodeo dealing with that challenge. All right, that's going to do it for daily levels. Let's see where we're at. 4 hour. Yeah, everything's going to just be in this range, so that'll make it quick at least. Yeah, I think there's something right about here. Again, it's not as, doesn't have all the confirmation I'd like to get, but what I want and what we've got to work with, two totally different things. Definitely something right there. Gap levels here. That gap still needs to fill, actually. So let's make sure that we've got this. I'll double check that as we get into some smaller time frames, make sure we got those levels right where they need to be, but there is a little downside gap there. Actually, another one right here. Pre-market high, current all-time highs as far as STR goes. All right, let's take a look at this hourly chart. Yeah, so some slight adjustments here. This gap level's actually down a little bit lower. This one's perfect right where it's at. And this is not a lot to work with, but There is something there, I believe. Could be something here as well. And there. The other thing I think it might make sense to take a look at, I'd like to see what our gives us some interesting confluences. And then last but not least, we're definitely going to need some trend-based fib extensions on this as well. So getting to do all the fib tools in one session here. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to come down and look just like that. So it gives us some potential targets here. Let's fix that before I go too much further. Am I picking the wrong color? What am I doing? Well, we're not going to, at least I don't think we'll need levels up that high anytime soon, but I guess time will tell on that. Then let's add these in. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Last but not least, let's get these indicators on. I'm going to, for now, hide these just so they don't get in the way of my reading of this chart. Sorry, I don't want to see this again real quick. So, how do we want to approach this, folks? That's the question. Clearly, if we fill this gap and keep moving down, that's going to be a pretty bearish signal. First target down here to 251.53. Second target down to 245.36. Third target could certainly be at 239.99, but I think at that point, if we move down that low and if we break below PT2, which has confluence here with the what's up, Kronos? Good morning to you. Which has confluence down here with this bullish flag there on Neptune at 245.36. I think if we break below all that, at the very least, we should gap fill before he bounces. So I'm going to go ahead and say 235.80, that third price target to the downside. Stop loss average down. If we break back out of this gap after filling it and continuing lower, that would be a sign that maybe we got caught in a bear trap. And I would not want to be holding long positions any longer at that point. Upside, I say we take a shot at a break of this kind of current all-time high if we're using the extended hours chart. It's going to be a tight first target up to that 382, but gives us decent risk reward. Think over that though, and I've said this many times, I generally like to shoot for the 61.8. After that, they're at 286.40, kind of ignoring the 50%, if you will. And then the last target could be either 293.41 or 295.96. Again, these are all just Fibonacci projections. It's the best thing we have to work with at this point. When in doubt, let's shoot on the more conservative side. So this is what, whoops, let's get this chart kind of lined up for y'all. Don't need these for right now. Actually, you know what? I'll leave them on there in case that's helpful for you guys. All right. Whoops, copy link is what I want. All right, here we go. Here are our MSTR live stream plans. It's posted over in the Elite chat as well, real quick. All right. So what are we looking for here on MicroStrategy? We're looking for a break over 270.03 to go long on this or take calls. We've got targets at 276.19, 286.40, and 293.41. Again, those are all Fibonacci projections, untested levels, untested waters, never before seen. So again, we are doing our best to nail down where these tops might play out, but historically I would say we've got a pretty high success rate and a really nice accuracy rating on that. So over 270.03, again, 276.19, 286.40, and 293.41 with the stop loss average down at 264.56. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 260. That should give us price targets at 251.53, 245.36, and 235.80 with a stop loss average down at 264.56. Shared with the upside trade plan. Those are your MicroStrategy upside and downside trade plans. That puts us within 15 minutes or right at the 15-minute mark before market open. I'm going to go ahead and call it a live stream this morning. That'll give me a little bit of time to get a little bit of extra time, I should say, to get the daily SPY plan together and posted in the options watch list in our Discord. So for those who have joined me this morning, oh yeah, I'm sorry, Deepak, apologies, TLT. Let me take a quick look at it. You did ask for that much earlier. Sorry, we just ran out of time. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I looked right past your TLT request. I'm sorry. You did get that in before the MicroStrategy. You should have called me out on that sooner. Sorry, man, my apologies. I looked right past it, not intentionally. Let's see, TLT. See if we can't get a quick beat on this. Yeah, sorry, Deepak. You absolutely had that request in first, and I for some reason, reading down the chat, MSTR caught my eye, and I just went straight to it. I looked right past it. My apologies. For sure. That's on me. Yeah, there's a level right about here that I don't have. So what I would say about TLT, for it to open up a nice little window of upside, I think this level's a little bit high. That looks much better. I think for it to open up a nice little window of upside, it needs to break over 92.35. That could take it up to 93. Would certainly be keeping this 91.98. No, that's too tight. $91.75. I was kind of debating between those two levels. It still could be 91.98. That's just, I think it's a little too narrow of a window. So kind of a tight, even risk reward, it looks like right there on a break over that 92.35. But over that, I'd be surprised if it didn't at least take a shot at this weekly level. Get your clicking right. 93.70, then on up to 94.30. Downside, which it looks like it is flirting with a pretty decent potential breakdown here. Below that weekly level, I think that one little aberration has me a little bit concerned, but think ultimately below 90, 91, it really does open up some room to the downside. I think potentially down to 89.90. I would also say stop loss average down is going to be kind of close, but I think slightly separate from, yeah, the call side. 89.90. So what happens below that? Excuse me. Again, sorry if I'm sounding so rough. I think looks like this. Sorry about that, Deepak. Thank you for calling me out on it. You absolutely had this requested first. I just read right past it unintentionally. And we were able to knock it out fairly quick. I still have adequate time to get the SPY plan together. So it was worth circling back to it. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the request. And again, my apologies again for almost missing it. So here are your TLT trade plan or live stream plans. Live stream plans. And let's get over here. Drop it in the chat here. Delete over here. All right, so what are we looking for on TLT? We're looking for a break above 92.35 to go long. That should give us targets at 93 flat, 93.70, and 94.30 with the stop loss average down at 91.75. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 90.91. That should give us targets at 89.90, 89.30, and 88.68 with a stop loss average down at 91.58. Those are your TLT trade plans for Deepak. Thank you again, Deepak, for your patience and for reminding me that I owed this one to you. Again, my apologies for almost missing it and accidentally skipping over it. So with that being said, we are now 10 minutes out from market open. I do really need to cut loose and go get this daily SPY plan together for those in our Xtrades Discord community. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how much I enjoy getting to spend my mornings getting ready for the trading day and the rest of the week with you all. Just a reminder for those who are paying Xtrades members, the October survey is available to start chiming in. Tell us who helped you the most over the month of October, so we know kind of how to gauge our performance as a team and what we can do to continue to improve moving forward. Again, that survey is available in the Xtrades app for anybody who is a paying Xtrades member. So please, 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 it's important to me, it's important to our team that you take a moment and go fill out that survey. So as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades and trade your plans. Remember, keep your wins big, keep your losses small. Go out there, secure the bag. I will see you guys in the chats, and I will see you back here this Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, thank you for bearing with me this morning. A couple of technical difficulties. Blame it on this cold that won't go away. So with that, everybody have a fantastic day. I will talk to you all soon, and I will see you back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day.